Oh, so listen, y'all. Welcome to the Iron Man podcast. Listen, we got Coach Ev here. Uh Evan Brown. Listen, this brother is a native of Lithonia, Georgia. So he's from the South.
Oh, my godparents live there.
Yeah, he's from the late he's from Lithonia, Georgia. He was in Chicago. I learned about him while he was here, actually, and I never met him. But let me tell you, this is a little bit of shade. Like I used to follow him,
Five
or
minutes
I,
ago.
I friend requested him, and he never accepted the friend request. And I don't know if it was because of the social movement or group he was a part of at the time, but I was just like, okay, cool. I said, all right, well, I guess I'm just not part of the cool kids. So I just
Wow.
I just let it go. But he
We can
is
unpack
like
that later.
a serial entrepreneur.
Google him
Entrepreneur. He
right
is
now.
he coaches business people, dreamers, authors, consultants. He is the consultant's consultant. He is the dreamers like coach. He is the coach's coach. And so he helps
I want your job.
dreams. I'm trying to lay this out, man. Let me finish. I'm trying to lay it thick on here so we can, so we can set him up right. You're not supposed
Full of
to.
my anointing.
Right. I'm supposed to take it up. Listen, he is a graduate of Alabama Agricultural Mechanical University. He is
What?
so many other things, and I'm just excited to have him here. He's a business owner of multiple businesses, and he's a man of faith. And he out here. He's young, and I think he's young, but that's relative. I think he's young, but I'm excited to finally get a chance to meet him, talk with him, and chop it up. Will behave, man of God. Behave, man of God.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
want to know
That
why
was a
you
great
skipped that
introduction for
last.
me.
What'd you say,
Why'd
Ev?
you skip the last? Why?
You went out. We can't hear you.
We can't hear nothing you said.
We didn't
You
hear
just
nothing
went
you just said.
straight Chinese movie.
You know, probably God. Then that was probably
There we
God.
go. We can hear you now.
That was probably God.
You
Say it
said,
again.
why
Say it
did I
again.
say that
Say it
last?
again.
Say it again.
I said you read that whole bio and skipped over the last line that says he's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity
Oh, you
Incorporated.
know what? Because I'm glancing at it. And he is a member of
Proud member.
the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Armed with adequate experience, Evan has functioned as an executive pastor, higher education program coordinator, a life coach, strategist, and a
Read.
marketing director, and uses the experience of these as the foundation of his business and building the businesses of others. I present to some and I introduce to other. No other than the man of God, the man of the hour, God's messenger, his prophet, his homeboy, his helper. Everyone stand up for Coach Ev. Come on, somebody. Lift up your hands and receive the man of God as he comes. How did I
I've
do?
been introduced one time like that in church, and it scared the crap out of me.
Listen.
But that was my mom's really going to enjoy that.
Listen. What's up? Man. So listen,
Hey,
we know
Mom.
who you are, and we know you're famous. We know you're out here in these streets doing things. Who, like,
You know who he is. I just Googled him a few minutes ago.
you know what? Don't be a nigga today. Don't.
It's always one.
It's always one. It's always
I'm
one.
not gonna lie to the people. You ain't gonna send me to hell for lying.
Man, so Ev, man, I'm curious to know, man, you do so much, like, and to be a coach's coach and to be a author's coach, like, it really is, it takes a level of sacrifice. And what I mean by that is because you could be taking your same skills and really pushing yourself, pushing your products, pushing your stuff, and you're investing it in other people. Like, how did you get to this space?
You know, my business coach actually tells me all the time that she hates that part about me. is that I put so much of everything that I know how to do into everyone else, and I don't quite put it into myself like I should. But we can deal with that another day. I got there, man. Honestly, I really got saved for real at like 27, and it completely changed how I moved in my life. I was one of those that I was all about self. I was all about vanity. I was really everything had to be about me. And then when I got Jesus for real, it really changed everything that I directed into me. I just became like, oh, I'm here to make the world a better place, and genuinely came into agreement with that statement. So that really is why, it may be kind of cliche. I'm not sure if that's even cliche, but that's really my life story. I got saved for real, and it made me just kind of make it not always about me and
Now,
really make it about other people.
what is saved
Go
for
ahead, I'm sorry.
real? What does that mean?
Well, now I'm a church kid. I grew up in church. I played the drums. I've done it all. And I was one that was very, very, very connected to the routine, the religiosity. I knew what to say. I knew
Yeah.
when to grab my ear. I knew when to do all of that.
Grab
But it
the
really
ear.
had to my heart. Like I was a benefactor of my mother and grandmother's relationship with God. But at some point in time, I don't want to tell you what happened, but no, something happened. And
Why
I was in
can't
the
we
back
know
of a
what
police
happened?
car. I was in the back of a police car in New Orleans at Mardi Gras, and I woke up and I said, I have got to get it right because this is not supposed to go this way. This is not how my life is supposed to end, and I don't even know how I'm going to get out of this, but I got to get out. But I said, Lord, if you get me out of this one time, we won't be in this particular situation again. There's my story.
I want to know what
It
happened.
really happened.
What happened that got you in the back of the
Every
police car?
believer has prayed that prayer. God, if you get me
Yeah.
out of this one.
Listen,
You get me out.
listen.
Because I'll be like, I'm not sure is this a safe space?
No,
I
it's
think
safe space. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Safe space.
I mean, I think everyone should experience the culture that New Orleans during the Mardi Gras season has to offer. New Orleans or Mobile, Alabama. Honestly, it is a cultural expression that unlike anything that you've ever seen before, and not like the whole Bourbon Street, none of that. Like just really just being engulfed into a celebration of a season that you would not have in your average hometown. And I just had too much fun. And I had way too much fun and way too many hurricanes. And then things just went left. And next thing you know, I was in the back of the paddy wagon.
Listen.
Praise God.
Really turned around.
Yep.
Those of you who
Paddy
are
wagon.
listening, Rob
so-
just turned around.
Listen, I think we've all had that season. I think for me, my season, like I was a hoe at one point in time, but before I was saved. I was saved. But my spot wasn't, I always hated New Orleans, but I loved Miami. And I had like back in the day, before I had kids, yeah, man. Before I had kids, I was walking around looking like a linebacker. Before the devil snatched my waistline and my muscles,
You know what?
I was out there on the beach walking around in a Speedo and just living my
Please
best life.
stop painting the picture.
You know what?
Please
That's what
stop
I
painting
do.
the picture.
You know what, man of God? Don't. I'm glad God delivered me. I'm so glad He delivered me because I almost told you, but because I'm a whole pastor now, I can't talk to you like my flesh wants to. But anyway, it's not about me. It's about Ev tonight. So, man, so you're transitioning, and I'm looking at your website right now, man. You are out here killing it, teaching people how to basically take their gifts, their passions, and monetize it. How do you what is the biggest obstacle that you've run across when dealing with people who are like come to you like, I got this dream, I got this book, I got this thing I want to do, and they come to you and you have to tell them like, yo, this ain't it. I think you did that to me today.
I was just helping you to see it from another perspective. So if I'm 100% honest with you, the worst client, the worst interaction I've ever had that I have is typically with those that have the same belief system as me, the Christians. Because we like to say God told me to do a thing that legitimately doesn't make any sense. And it's like, God, do you want me to just tell these people that didn't hear from you? Because I don't want to ruin their relationship. I don't want to offset, what they even heard from God. And I'm like, well, I don't know who you heard from, but that actually doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So that's the most challenging thing that I experience often, is having to tell an individual that your dream concept desire just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, or on the other side of that, that it's just not a good idea. Because often, in my space and what I do, there's a difference between like taking a skill and monetizing, and then turning your passion into an option from an avenue for monetization. It's a huge difference. One of the things that I've had to become okay with is letting people know, just because it's a passion doesn't mean it's supposed to be profitable for you. Some of this stuff is supposed to be a genuine outlet for you, and what you do and how you are and where you're going. And it's not always supposed to have a dollar sign attached to it. So, for an example, one of the things that brings me joy, I went to college on a tennis scholarship. Most people probably would never notice that or know that. But playing tennis and got me through school and everything like that. And right now, it's a way to burn calories. It's a safe space. It's a place for an outlet for Evan the man. Evan the man should not go and teach people how to play tennis, even though I could. That's not a place for that. And helping people to identify that just because it's a passion does not mean that it's supposed to be turned into an opportunity for monetization. Now, skills are a different story. I do believe that skills are in this space, or you have the liberty in the space called skill sets, or utilizing your skill sets where you can go in and out of monetization opportunities. But that's kind of helping people to understand that just because it's a passion, just because you love it, does not mean it's an area or a space for monetization, or it really may not even be this $1 million idea that culture is trying to tell you. Everybody's got $1 million idea on the inside of it. No, I'm a firm believer in this. Some of us are called to impact. Some of us are called to income. Some of us are called to do both simultaneously. But you're not going to become a millionaire with a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit. It's not for personal profit, but little things like that. But those two are my biggest thing, helping, having to tell someone they didn't hear correctly. And then, or often the other side of that is really helping them to identify that just because you're passionate about it does not mean it's supposed to turn into an opportunity for monetization. It's supposed to be a passion and a healthy outlet for you.
So because you just crushed all the people's dreams, how
Listen,
how do you know when someone has something like that's worth pursuing? Like what does that sound like? What does that look like? Yeah, because there's people out here who genuinely are like, the Lord said this, or my mama told me this, or I had a dream, and then they come see Coach Ev, and you like, yeah, that sucks. Like, what? The way Will is just looking at
I'm so interested in this conversation. I have so many questions. So please answer.
Go ahead, Coach.
What is that like? I know, like, so because what I'm doing is purpose, a mixture of like my gifting from God and a skill that I've chosen to perfect and to crack, to enhance. When people start to talk about stuff, I can instantly pull myself out of it because it's not my idea. So I'm able to look at it from like objectively. Would I buy into this? Would I spend my money on this? Do I see like a value point on this? And also, and honestly, in certain situations, I literally can see the dollar sign, and then sometimes I can't see anything. But that's where my whole strategy from impact to income came from, because I realized that some things are income driven, but then some things are literally just because you're supposed to make an impact in that endeavor, and you may be blessed to be able to do both simultaneously, depending on the endeavor, but that's not always a guarantee. So my personal metric system is really the Lord showing me, okay, do we see a dollar sign? Do we see an I? We see an I, or do we see an I? I know this I means income. This I means impact. So I hope that answers the question. I can't tell you that it's like this. I didn't learn it in a book. I didn't learn it in a webinar. I didn't learn it in a workshop. God just gave it to me. And through time, I perfected it. Of course, been able to kind of put some benchmarks on how to properly identify. But it's not like this 1+1 formula. It really is like, nah. And then often, because like in that moment, and I know I said it, like sometimes I'm able to tell people that maybe they didn't hear God in totality of what he was trying to say.
You ain't heard him. He ain't say that. You a liar.
Or maybe, go back to him for a little more instruction. In the midst of that, I'm typically able to reroute them in a way that makes it make sense to them. So when they kind of sit with themselves, They're looking at it from a different perspective. Like, for example, you shared something with me earlier today, and I didn't think it was a terrible idea, but I just felt as though that it could be more impactful presented in this particular form. And so I consider it from this angle. Because that's really what it's about. Like, sometimes God gave it to you, but then sometimes you didn't stop long enough to get the rest of it. But then you come and sit with somebody, if you're even bold enough to sit with somebody for them to have an opportunity to kind of critique and give you some insight. That's the part about coaching, consulting, whatever you want to call it, is like, I see blind spots and I help you close gaps.
Okay.
Really
Can I jump in here real quick? Because we went from like 1 to like 10 so quick, and I got some questions at 1 and 2. So
Okay.
let's just go back a little bit and walk us through how you got into this space in the first place. Like, what made you become a coach? What made you to identify to say this is it for me? What made you land in this career?
Okay. High level overview. I got out of school, got a really good job, realized that money wasn't everything, hated it, took a 3-year gap where I started to just take these jobs that I was just kind of like, I'm going to try something different. Boom, 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 boom. Ended up joining a church, met a man named Pastor Adrian Davis. I think Pastor AD was actually on.
He was on our show.
AD is my homie!
Yeah, Pastor AD was my pastor. That was my pastor for like, what, 5.5, 6 years?
Wow.
And one day I walked into the church. Yeah, I was executive pastor of his ministry for 4 years. Like, that's my brother. Walked in church one day, realized, it's a small world. But I walked in, and Pastor Eddie, he's a very creative person. He's a person that like literally sees. But people who are typically visionaries, execution is not even a place where they even try to perfect or try to like move into. But for somebody like myself, you give me a big picture, I can give you A through Z, and that's really what happened. And we planned his very first marketplace kind of personal development leadership conference called Growing Pains, and it went phenomenal. And we were sitting in one of the sessions, and one of the guest speakers was talking, and he made a statement. He was like, "Some of you all are doing stuff that you don't even realize is a business, and it's going to be the thing that changes your life." And I sat there in the chair. I said, "That's a lot of people in this conference. They all look very happy. I think he's talking to me." And that really is honestly how it started. I said, you know what? I'd always been good for helping people do stuff, never thinking much about how, I'm got to give some help or whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to help people do what they had to do. But a black man took a chance on me and said, "Hey, I got this." And I'm like, well, I think I can figure it out. And then from there, my second client was a planner. So I went from a conference to somebody creating a planner. That lady sold 3,000 copies of that planner. And it was at that moment, and this was not in the big social media stage, people were buying planners out of her trunk at the barbershop. And she didn't even have a fade. But I knew then I've got a knack for helping people put stuff together that makes them happy, and it also makes them money. Let me figure out how to put this on paper.
So how much I got a question. How much is a consult? Because I'm looking at my stuff and I'm like, shoot, I need a conversation.
Yeah, well, one conversation can actually change your life. I'm a living
That's
witness.
the setup right there. That's the setup right there.
I've seen it.
That's the setup right there.
And hear my heart, guys. So one conversation, especially with me, will transform your life in one way or another. It's going to send you back to the drawing board. It's going to make you go and move forward in action with new information that you need to get to whatever level you're trying to get to. With that being said, and I know that, and I can say that confidently, God told me what to set my prices at. My business coach tells me every month, I'm so sick of looking at these prices on this website. You're brilliant, da-da-da-da. But I'm like, God ain't told me to change them yet. So there's nothing on my website over $500. And it's crazy because in 30 minutes, I can give you something that's going to make you $24,000. Did it with a client 2 weeks ago. But the Lord ain't told me to change my prices yet. And I'm not going to, because I recognize that even though I'm in an industry that is number-driven and data-driven, I am following the unction of a Holy Spirit that trumps your data, and the Holy Spirit will open up stuff and lead me to do stuff that'll put me in places that data would never.
Now wait a minute. You said nothing is over $500. Right?
You're my new cousin. Hi,
you
cousin.
got $490. Wait, he got $499 on his website. So I don't know about.
That is up $500.
This is
Praise God.
no, because this is so good to me personally because I'm a marketing manager currently, and although I got a little bit of a sense in marketing, I have a strong passion for helping people, consulting people, walking them through the bigger picture, helping them to see. But I'm not qualified to be nobody's coach. I don't got no prices on I don't even have a website, huh? And so I'm asking and I'm pulling this because to that listener who they are in a space where it's like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be not necessarily in this space, but in another space. I think you just unlocked something so amazing right there just by sharing that. So thank you for that.
And let me add to that. You said something that most people do to themselves all the time. I don't do it anymore. I stopped doing it a couple years ago. It's transformed my life. I never tell myself no. I am never going to be the one that says, Evan, you can't do this. I almost used a bad word.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Sorry. I never tell myself no. I tell myself every day, I am never going to put myself in a position where Evan is telling Evan no, and the world has not even heard my opinion yet. You just said out loud that you're a marketing manager, but you're not qualified to. Who said that you weren't qualified?
I want you to talk, Coach F.
You see how she's blanking these words.
No, I want you to talk, Coach F.
Yeah, like
Turn the fan
who
on.
in the hell said you weren't qualified? Like who said you weren't qualified? You? Do you realize when people it's like a self-limiting behavior? It's a self-limiting pattern that so many people are doing every single day. I can't have that. I can't have that. Who the hell said I can't have that? Do you realize that you said you're a marketing manager? So if you went on HubSpot and took a digital marketing certification, in 4 weeks you could be qualified to be a digital marketer. And most HubSpot Academy classes are free. Who said you couldn't be a consultant? You actually said out of your mouth, I like to help people see the bigger picture. That means you're grace for something that you're not even tapping into, and you're doing yourself a disservice. But like you, like I see people every day, we do that. We tell ourselves what we cannot do because of what a sheet of paper may or may not say. But typically it's because of how we don't choose to view ourselves. You're great. You are absolutely great. All of us are. But you've got to
He's
be
from
a
AD
bad
Church.
to go forward and say, you know what, I'm going to bet on me. Most of us are not comfortable betting on us. So we'll do things like default to certain roles, jobs, and not kind of bet on you. No. Because if you don't, somebody else is going to wake up one day and say, you know what, I am a consultant. I am I help people close gaps. You know what they're going to do? They're going to turn around and flip this thing and turn it into a multi-million-dollar business. It could have been yours. I'm a firm believer that everything is not going to come back around again. I know that may not be in the Bible somewhere. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe certain things are time sensitive, and you do not get every time window back. You don't, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you and anybody who feels like that, get over yourself, get out of your own way, and at least give the world a chance to tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. At least give them a chance to say, no, you're not qualified. But they could actually say, you know what, you're the perfect person for the job. And then boom, the whole time you've been telling yourself what you could not do for years, and now look at life. You know?
Okay, do me now. My turn. I'll take my discovery call right now. I booked my discovery call for tomorrow, so I'll just take my discovery call right now.
Do
me. You know, do you really want me to do this right now?
God.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh gosh. I don't.
Oh,
hold on, let me pray this spirit. Do I have 30 seconds?
You can have 30 seconds. Where the shop music?
I need to turn this fan on.
So
it's hot in Texas.
Bring in the spring. It's hot in Atlanta. It's hot in my house. I don't think that your issue is the same issue, or I don't think your place of challenging, or whatever you want to call it, is the same as our brothers here. I think that yours may be a matter of just consistency. And hear me from this standpoint. Like, for example, in my opinion, I could be totally wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Just text it to me. I do believe that some people who have like powerful messages that will actually transform the world, you got to put 3 to 5 years of consistency in the game before you start to see the results you should see. That's my opinion. I
Uh-oh.
think that's one of God's personal character tests to ensure that, hey, you know what? Are you going to stick to what you know to be right and true and to be me long enough for it to sit, simmer, and for the world to catch up to your story? That is my opinion.
Uh-oh.
So if you are not, if consistency is a thing or a space where you waver in it, just lock in. It may take you 3 to 5 years, but it's not that what you have is not impactful. It's not that it's not powerful, and it's also not that it's not needed. But sometimes culture, society, and the world has to catch up to what God has given. That's why God gives you stuff. He gives us stuff like for the future, and sometimes we have to wait for the world to catch up.
Yeah. That's really good. So I'll say this about the stuff that I'm doing. I actually took the jump last year, this past year,
Okay.
to do what I do full time. I
Mm-hmm.
was making great money as a professional, and my pastor at the time, before she passed, God bless her heart, she always used to tell me, she said, Robert, she said, your job, she had a thing, she said, your job is just your paid internship. And
That's
so,
it.
and
It's just your life.
yep, she was a multi-billionaire. So that money was not an issue for her. And so she would tell me all the time, Robert, and as a speaker, as a trainer, as a coach, consultant, my issue was never my issue was never I'm not good enough. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
never been my thing. Like I think, like you said, I have ADHD a little bit, and so one of the issues is if I have downtime, I'm going to create.
Mm.
And I've written in the last 2-3 years, I've written about 6 books, and
Mm-hmm.
some of that stuff was just out of boredom, but at the same time now with my last book, which has been the
Mm.
greatest, like the last two, Echoes, the stories of male survivors overcoming sexual trauma. I even got approached, and I think I was being, I think I was really being, um, uh, uh, not judged, but it was a test by God, because I got approached by a agency to write a book for them, write a book with them, and I said, you know what? No, I realized I have to give stuff time to breathe, right? Even though I got it out, doesn't mean the world knows it. And as you said, so I'm just confirming. You got to confirm, people. You got to affirm and confirm. So one of my challenges was I could produce like this. Producing and execution is not an issue. I have about 5 more books and resources that I've not released, and they're just sitting. And I realized just
Mm-hmm.
because I got it, I'm done with it, or I have it, doesn't mean it needs to be released now. Give it time to breathe. Give it time to grow. And even though it's old to you, it's new to somebody else. Um, and so that's what I'm really, I'm learning. And my first year by myself, um, I've made about in my business. I got my tax returns, and just know I'm looking for all the write-offs that I can get, because it was good. But Coach Ev, man,
Yeah.
you're dope. So anyway, y'all see, Coach Ev fixed my
This
life.
did not. Was not intended to be a live coaching session, not by any means. And I feel like I need your Cash App, or rich people don't got Cash App, your Zelle and your PayPal to sew into you tonight for what you share. But this is literally what people really like need to understand, because in my areas when you identify the work that I've done, which has been consultant work, it has not been nothing but the Holy Spirit providing me with the
Mm.
wisdom to tell them to do X, Y, and Z. They do X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z, and then I stand back and smile and be like, God did that. And it's like God has gifted us in areas where we don't have I won't say we, but I have not had the confidence to approach it with boldness. And I'm
Yeah.
sharing that to say there may be a listener, there may be someone watching this or someone listening to this who they struggle in that area of showing up with boldness, believing first in themselves, and then believing, if you have the Holy Spirit, believing that the Holy Spirit was right the first time, and stop second guessing it. It's getting hot again. And so going back to the interview, area
This is
of
like a friend's. I feel like we're on a three-way phone call. It's not an interview.
right. But going back to the question, you're providing this work, you're providing this framework for so many people, and it's literally like the work that you are doing is literally changing people's lives. Like it's literally changing their lives. And so, what are some things that you do to stay in a creative space, to stay in a mental awareness of peace and all of the things? Like, what are some outlets that you entertain, or I don't know the word? You get the question?
Yeah, I get
It's a
what you're asking. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna share something that I don't think I've ever told anybody out loud. Because you use that word, and it's kind of a buzzword for me. I don't consider myself a creative. I consider
really.
myself to be. I don't. I consider myself to be a strategist slash solutionist.
Well, you know
I
what?
do not.
Creatives need that though.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
ooh,
feel like I am God's middleman because typically when I sit with like creative, especially creative business owners, I am not telling you what to create. I am helping you to get a plan of action, help you execute, then for you to scale. Not necessarily for you to create. Now there are moments. Don't get it twisted. There are moments in time where, it sits on me and I'm like, I can creative direct. I've done some creative directing things, but that is not particularly the space that I would say that that's where I fall. So with that being
yeah,
said, my balance point, how I keep myself functional and I guess fresh is not what the typical creative need is probably has to do. Like I don't know about you all, most of the people that are extremely creative that I know, oh my god, they're weed heads because it takes them out of their mind for a moment. I don't really have to. I don't have to leave my mind because so much is going on. I have to leave my space to give myself time to kind of like air out, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but that makes sense.
same,
Like for example, like
same. No,
all
for
my friends
same.
do creative videos. They do videos, graphic design. They literally have to go to another place to not channel, to grab and pull down from where they're pulling it from. I just need to take a walk and leave my phone in the house. Or I need to turn a TV on and look and join the problems of somebody else that I don't have to really solve. I can just enjoy to kind of hit that refresh. So I would say to answer that question, if it answers that question, I think people probably should spend more time properly identifying where they fall. Because, like, especially if you're a Christian,
Yeah,
especially if you're a Christian at 40, creative is beat through our heads, especially if your church is dark and got smoke. All you hear is creative, creative,
yeah,
creative. And I do believe it's a powerful component to industry, but all of us are not creative. Some of us are just executionists. Some of us are doers. You give us a task, we're gonna build it. We're gonna knock it on out. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people probably need to stop and identify where do I fall because you may be trying to put some pressure on yourself
good.
to move in this one particular way when that's not really where you need to be moving. I did a I did a training session with Kim Jenkins. Kim Jenkins is like one of those phenomenal designers. She's based in Florida now, Texas, and she had me a part of her tour.
To Dallas.
Kim is amazing. Yeah. But one of the things that I did with the group of people that were part of her tour was ask them on a team, where do you fall? This is a creative conference, but where do you fall? And a lot of people don't often realize where they actually fall. So what happens is they start to make a secondary skill their primary skill, when in all actuality, what you have as your primary really should be your secondary, and things should kind of be switched. And then boom, things start to flow a little bit easier. I don't know if I answered the question.
That you answered the
Yeah,
question.
you
That's
answered
so
the question.
good.
Okay.
So good. That's so good.
That was good. That was actually really good. Yo,
Okay. Well, praise God.
Coach Ev, this is why you're. This is why he. This is why he's here. Like, listen, I am. We've had some good
You didn't
shows,
give me
and
the
we
notes before the meeting.
say again.
Why you didn't give me the notes before the meeting?
No, that's why you got to be yet also ready. That's why you got to be ready, man of God.
It's printed.
I come from the old school. They'll wait.
That's printed.
They'll be you. They know you preaching all day long, and they ain't gonna say two words to you.
Printed.
That's printed. I'm taking that one. I'm taking that one.
It's
But
not a tweet.
I will say this, and this is a great compliment to AD. I have known AD for years, but I just met him at Commas in Vegas in January,
Mhm.
I think it was. And I told him after the conference, I said, all these years, I never realized who I was connected to. And now that I'm actually paying attention to him and paying attention to the fruit that he bears, that's a bad man. And I'm not
I
gonna say that.
would
I'm not gonna tell you what I. He's a bad man. That's a bad man.
I would not, and I say it all the time, like I would not be doing anything that I'm doing right now if that man hadn't taken a chance on me and allowed me to fail with Adrian Davis now, the brand. Like he was legit the test of me, and he never complained.
Wow.
He just gave the
Wow.
space. You know what I'm saying? He probably wasn't even looking at it like that, but it transformed my life. That's why I am so open to when people are saying like, "Oh my God, I want to get into stuff." I am quick to tell somebody, "You want to just come be around. You want to do something. Tell me how you can help me." Not because I'm trying to prostitute you or your skill set. I can do it on my own. But I know what sometimes somebody's
Yeah.
giving me the space locked in my life 10 years down the line.
Listen.
I am
Listen. Yeah.
and I am going to be a multi-millionaire not because I started to flip real estate. That stuff's going to happen later on down the line. But I am still using the same skills that man gave me the opportunity to put into life because that's where it all came together and made sense. That Growing Pains,
Yeah.
2014,
Yeah.
13th, that Saturday. It came. So I'll forever honor him because I would not be doing this if he had not given me the opportunity at that moment in time to even start to peel around and figure this stuff out.
Wow, that's amazing.
Man.
I will trust in the Lord.
This is
I
so
will
good, man. This is
trust.
so
Listen,
good.
this is so good,
You
man. This is
unlock so much for me. I'm like,
Oh,
dog.
yeah, man. I think Coach Ev. I think so, man. I want because we could talk about this all. We could be talking forever. What
I
would
got
you
time.
say, or what advice would you give to that brother that's
Don't tell
out
him that.
there that has a dream, has a desire, never has executed it, never has done it, and maybe they're sitting in their woulda, shoulda, couldas. They don't know how to start, where to start. What would you say to them?
Give him full screen.
outside
Put
of
him full screen.
I was outside of telling my brother, call me, text me, DM me, whatever. I would tell him just start. Let me tell you, it's not an alarming because it's a bad thing. So please hear my heart, ladies. The amount of black female millionaires is on the rise, and it's crazy. We don't even see the percentages of like really how like black women are finally starting to win, and I celebrate that because they're owed that. The most disrespected person in America is a black woman. So I'm so glad to see the rise of black female success in a couple different ways. But the wealth gap between black women and black men is continually growing. And so I say that to my brothers, not to create a space for competition, but just to let you know there's an aware, like make you aware that it really is space for you, and that you're needed. And one of the things that I encourage people all the time, and I don't want to do a shameless plug, but I'm doing a class in April called Man Brand, where I'm helping men understand how to build a male centered brand because you can't do what the women do, and that's okay. There's a way for us to do this, but I want us to recognize that because there's so much pressure on us just as black men. I don't want to disrespect anybody that's watching this. There's so much pressure on us as black men to be all these different things that we are almost to a place where we are stuck and not moving forward and very stagnant because of the fear of things not being perfect. And I am an advocate for you are to perfect things as you go. Everything that we love at this moment in time, everything that we spend our top dollars on, whether it's clothes, property, food, everything was perfected over time. And so I would say to my brothers, find somebody to talk to and immediately start. Because this is the thing about it. You've got to put yourself in a position where you can grow, change, and pivot. Like especially in the space when it comes to business, man. Your business in the first 3 to 5 years, you're going to change directions, branding, mode, whatever you want to call it, marketing, back end, baseline, at least 10 times because you're learning as you're growing and you're learning as you're going. So I would encourage my brothers just to get started. That's that day and age or that place where it's like, I don't know where to get going. You can find everything else on the internet. Find how to get your LLC. You can find everything else on the internet. Find what you need to know. And if you can't find what you need to know, find the person that knows what you need to know and have that conversation with them. So I think I said a lot in there, but I would definitely start with talk to somebody. But then most importantly, get started and be okay with making progress as you go, because it's never perfect when it starts. It's perfected as you go.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He said it's never
Did.
perfect. He said it's never perfect when it starts, but it will be
Perfect.
perfected as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Nobody comes out the billionaire. Not people that look like us. We are figuring it out day by day. And even those that are on social and doing things, they're giving you a beautiful end product. But every day, them niggas is figuring it out day by day. Because one thing about it, even like look at it from a business standpoint, or we'll talk about marketing. 5 years ago, digital marketing was not a conversation. It was not even a term
Right.
that was used. Now, digital marketing is the basis for everything centered around marketing. That's how you get your tone, your messaging, your client avatar, your target audience. Digital marketing is the next thing. And digital marketing is now no longer just social media. It is ad spend. It is so many different layers that go into it. So it just kind of shows the evolution of everything. Like nothing starts in one space and just ends. And if all these things can grow and evolve, we got to give ourselves space to be able to do it as well. And then most importantly, I don't want my brothers to miss out, because I'm so committed to taking risk and figuring this thing out day by day that I don't want to be the only one that makes it in the end. I really want my homeboys to be just as I want my homeboys richer than me, so that way I don't
Yeah.
have to spend my money. I can spend it.
Right.
Like
Ha!
one of my homeboys, I'm
Listen.
like, buy another one. I can show you how to put that one on Airbnb. Let me help you get rich. So you can just say, you know what, bro? Dude, here's the keys to a 6-bedroom house. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hear that.
Listen.
I hear that. That's love.
He
That's
also said something. He said, get somebody, find somebody to talk to. And
Yeah.
why are you putting me on the main screen? I don't need to be on the main screen. He also said, get somebody to talk to. And I want
Yes.
to recommend Coach Ev for that person that you need to talk to. So if you listen to this, if you're watching this, go on over to his
Yeah.
Instagram. I'm going to even give you his Instagram right now. Let me tell you what his Instagram is. I just followed him like 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. Let me tell you. Coach Ev, just say it because I got to find it.
Okay. Well, my Instagram name and also all of my social media handles are all the same. It's
Put him
Coach
back on
Ed.
him.
So
Put the camera
ITS
back on him.
OACHEV. It's Coach Ed. And can I just add one more thing? Why I think it's important, especially for a male, to find somebody to talk to, is because when it comes to development with a personal professional, our egos can't go there. We've got to leave our egos in
Yeah.
the car when it comes to growing up and becoming better, as men, as parents, as husbands, as business professionals. We've got to leave the ego thing in the car. And when I'm telling you, when I put my ego in the closet and just left it there, it completely alleviated so
Yeah.
many of the social pressures that I had. I started showing up as myself. I started to go into places like, hey, you know what? I am here, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. What's up? You know, it really changed so much for me. So I really, really, really encourage men just to find somebody to talk to that can give you the guidance, because a lot of the things that, especially when you start to move and grow in a lot of areas, there are so many mistakes that are avoidable. And I mean, if we're talking business, there are so many mistakes that you're going to make in business that are just going to come with the evolution, that come with the learning. But some of those lessons are very expensive. And some of those lessons you can bypass wholeheartedly just by having
Listen.
one conversation or building one connection or building one relationship with somebody that can give you some of the wisdom you need to circumvent. Because the thing about it is when you're a trailblazer or you're somebody that's going first, the goal is for you to go through, make the mistakes, recover, go forward, and then most importantly, create the space coming as you go forward to make sure that those that are coming behind you can skip some of those big things. Now they can't skip everything. Some stuff is a part of the process. Some of the stuff is due process, but a lot of it can be skipped and circumvented simply by us just putting that ego thing up and leaving it up.
yeah. Listen,
So good.
man, that's so
So good.
good, man. Coach Ev, thank you so much, brother, for having this FaceTime conversation with us today. Like this is
Yeah,
like
man.
he's somebody you
So
want to keep on
good.
speed dial. Be like, yo, hey, what's up with this? Like, and so I think that's amazing. So listen, yo, everyone, listen. I am just excited and so amazed at at Coach Ev's